We've all heard it, right? The golden rule of exercise: stay hydrated, drink tons of water. But what if that conventional wisdom is not just wrong, but dangerously wrong? What if the very thing you're doing to protect yourself could actually be putting you at risk? Well, let's dive into the hydration paradox. So that brings us to the big question. How much should you really be drinking when you're working out? And if you think the answer is just a lot or as much as you can, you might want to stick around because the real answer, the right answer, is a lot more personal. It's literally written in your own body's code. You know, every athlete is essentially walking a tightrope, and this slide shows you why. On one side, you've got dehydration. We all know that's the classic enemy. It kills your performance, right? But on the other side, there's overhydration, and that can lead to a really dangerous condition called hyponatremia, which can cause brain swelling, and yeah, it can even be fatal. It's a balance, and it's a very delicate one. Now, this isn't about scaring you with vague warnings. This is all about the hard data. So let's actually break down the numbers behind this thing called hyponatremia so we can all understand the real, measurable risk of drinking too much water.
So what in the world is hyponatremia? Well, to put it simply, it's when the sodium level in your blood gets dangerously diluted. It's watered down. This isn't just about having too much water. It's about what all that extra fluid does to your body's essential electrolytes, like sodium.
Okay, so how low is too low? Let's look at the numbers. This number right here, 135 millimoles per liter, that's the clinical line in the sand. A normal blood sodium level is somewhere between 136 and 142. If you drop below 135, you are officially in hyponatremia territory, and that's where the trouble really begins. Now, if your sodium levels dip below 125, things get serious, fast. We're talking about severe symptoms: throbbing headaches, vomiting, confusion, disorientation. This is your body's alarm system just screaming that something is fundamentally wrong with your internal chemistry. And below 120, that's the critical danger zone. The excess water can actually cause brain cells to swell up. This can lead to seizures, coma, permanent brain damage, and yes, even death. Knowing these numbers isn't just for textbooks. It can literally be a matter of life and death out on the field or on the road.
Now take a look at this chart, because the data here it's pretty staggering. For a group like the US military, hyponatremia is super rare. We're talking just 0.1 cases for every 1,000 people. But now look at endurance athletes. In some studies, the rate just explodes to over 30%. 30%! So, why? Why is this one group so incredibly vulnerable?
Well, this table gives us a pretty big clue. As you can see, during long periods of exercise, your body is under immense strain. Your heart rate and your core temperature just keep climbing. And these aren't small changes. They're statistically significant increases over nearly 2 hours. Your body is basically in a state of growing crisis, which creates the perfect storm for a hydration imbalance to spiral out of control. And all this data really points to one big problem. The generic advice we always hear, drink 8 glasses a day or drink before you're thirsty, it completely ignores the single most important variable in the entire equation: you. So let's talk about your unique sweat profile. And that's really the core message here. It's this simple. Hydration is not one size fits all. Any advice that isn't built on your personal data is frankly just a guess. And the numbers we're about to see will show you exactly why that's so risky. Just look at this range. It's wild. In 1 hour of exercise, one person might lose just half a liter of sweat, but someone else working just as hard might lose 2 full liters. That is a 400% difference. Telling these two people to drink the same amount of water isn't just wrong, it could be incredibly dangerous for one of them. And the crazy variability doesn't stop with the amount of sweat. This number shows the massive range in how much sodium people lose in their sweat. Some of us are what you'd call salty sweaters, losing up to 90 millimoles per liter. Others lose as little as 10. And this right here is why you can't just replace what you lose with plain water. You have to know what's in your sweat to begin with. So, the big question is, how do you get this data for yourself? Well, the good news is it's actually way easier than you might think. You don't need a fancy lab. We're going to walk through exactly how to calculate your own sweat rate and build your personal hydration blueprint. This 7-step process, which comes from the Canadian Sport Institute, is your personal toolkit. It's really just a simple before and after test. You weigh yourself, measure your drink, go do your workout, and then you measure everything again when you're done.
The only trick is just to be precise with your measurements.
All right, let's walk through a real-world example so you can see how the numbers fit together. So this person lost zero point 0.8 kilograms of body weight, which is the same as 800 milliliters of fluid. They also drank 300 milliliters during their workout. You just add those two numbers together, the weight they lost plus the fluid they drank, and you get their total sweat loss, 1.1 liters. And since the workout was an hour long, their sweat rate is 1.1 liters per hour. See? Simple as that. Okay, so now you've done the work and you have your number. In this case, it's 1.1 liters per hour. That is an incredibly powerful piece of information. So now let's talk about how to actually use that data point to build your own totally personalized hydration strategy. Think of this slide as your action plan. That sweat rate number you calculated, that is now your guide. You can use it to plan how much you need to drink. And this is crucial. For any workout over 2 hours, you have to plan for replacing electrolytes, especially sodium. Now, most gels have some sodium, but if you're one of those salty sweaters, that might not be nearly enough. And of course, the absolute golden rule: test everything in training. Never, ever on race day. And just remember, this is an ongoing process. It's a continuous learning curve. As this quote says, doing one test is a fantastic start. But testing yourself in different conditions, a hot day versus a cool day, an easy run versus an intense one, that's what's going to give you a truly adaptable and accurate hydration plan. You're basically becoming the world's leading expert on your own body.
So, there you have it. You now have the tools to stop guessing. With just a simple scale and some basic math, you can completely replace all that generic advice with personal, hard data. So the question really isn't, am I drinking enough anymore? The real question is, what does my data tell me I need to do?